Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Julie Livingston, president of Want Leverage Communications, and I am here for another installment of Julie's PR Patter. I have a special guest today. Her name is Jill Strickman, and I had the good fortune of meeting Jill a long time ago when our sons were in a rock band together. She is the founder of Genuine, the real people company. And for more than 25 years, Jill and her very talented team at Genuine have helped find real people from major advertising campaigns. Their personal stories really captivate audiences and humanize brands, which is so important today, probably more than ever. So that human connection really forms a very special relationship with the audience. And she has done work for top brands, including American Express, Walmart, um, Dove, many, many others. Today, she's going to talk a little bit about a campaign that she did for Degree. And we're going to together talk about how failure breeds success. So welcome, Jill. It's great, great, great to see you.
Great to see you. And it's funny, I was thinking about the name of the band our sons were in. It was called Economic Crisis.
Economic crisis,
And
right?
what year was that?
Oh my
2000.
gosh,
But
it
it
was
was
a while
one. It
ago.
was one economic crisis that they were inspired by. There was an
That's
economic
right.
crisis, right? It's
Maybe it was 2008,
yeah,
2009.
maybe 2008. Like
Yeah, yeah.
which crisis was it? We're in one now.
I love it. I love
So
it.
that kind of ties into our topic in a
That
way.
does. It totally does. I've been thinking a lot. I do a lot of work on LinkedIn for clients, for C-suite executives, and I'm their content strategist and ghostwriter. And so a lot of times I am writing about issues that leaders contend with, including failure and how people deal with failure. And I have noticed that, um, it's it's a hard thing. It's hard, especially for women, to deal with even the thought of failure. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. A lot of women in the workplace become overqualified. We go for extra degrees, extra certifications, more credentials, so that in the corporate world we can apply for. We think that will help us get a leg up into the C-suite. But sometimes that overqualification even cancels women out of the running against, their male peers. And a lot of women don't even try because they're so afraid of that failure. So you and I, Jill, are creatives. And so failure is so much a part of what we do every single day. And it's not easy. It's never easy. But I thought maybe you could share some of your experiences.
Oh, there's so much in this topic. It's a juicy one.
Yeah.
I guess I'll start by saying this topic became, I started thinking a lot about it. We worked on a campaign for Degree called Not Done Yet. And this was led by our senior project manager, Meg Miller at my company, who did an amazing job. But we had to find people who had entered and not completed a marathon. And they had to have a compelling story of struggle within that. There had to be a good reason. And then Degree was going to work with them and help them and support them. And then they ran the marathon and they filmed it, and all three finished. So there were three stories. One was about someone who couldn't see, it was blind. One was a woman who had MS, and the other one was a woman who had donated a kidney. So they had like real obstacles. This is not like super obstacles. And they went through the process with the coaching and support, which is an interesting element that makes such a difference for people. And they did go on to succeed and complete the marathon. One of the things that they talked about when we were working on it is they were reframing it, this idea of failure, which I think is such a strong word. And I think we need to embrace that word and sort of take the energy out of it. but with not done yet. So that was that was how they framed their campaign, and it's also a very useful way because when you don't succeed at something and you fail, it's not necessarily an end, right? Especially
I
in
love that. I think that's so powerful. Not done yet.
and it's as you said, we're both in creative fields, and often in with creative work or in life is a creative adventure. You don't know the path. You think you may know how you're going down the path and how you're going to get and find what you want and need, and but really it's being in the moment and going down and realizing, uh-oh, this is not working. We're not getting it, so we need to change direction. And you are somebody who is an inspiration with being able to you're very nimble. And
Yeah.
I've known you for many years, and every time we talk, you have like a new turn you're making, and not all in the same realm, but like
Yeah.
navigating a new turn. And in my business, I've also tried, I've been doing the same thing for many years, but so much has changed, especially around technology.
Well, and
So,
I think, in creative fields and as creative people, there is something very exciting. I mean, that's what is exciting about being creative is the experimentation and the ability to constantly innovate and reinvent. But with that, it's just part of life. Comes failure all the time.
yeah, and we have to like de-escalate it. Like, and
Yeah.
I think we're like with the fairy tale, like everything's supposed to work out. And, once we figure out the right thing for us, it will all, even if you find the right thing, like
Right.
the whole issue thing about like identifying your strengths and choosing careers and work that capitalize on your strengths, even with that, things are going to go wrong, and and things are going to change, the way we work, even just with the pandemic. Oh my god, what we've all been through in the last 2.5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, we all had to pivot in many ways. And if we weren't working remote, we had to start doing that. We had to get up to speed on new technology in order to be able to function remotely in our work lives and maintain we had to change the way we developed human relationships
Yes, like
for
this.
the most part.
Now
That's
we're
right.
doing this, right?
That's right. That's
It's
right.
it's interesting because so much of my work is around connecting, finding people, connecting,
Yeah.
establishing trust, because they don't know who we are, what we're doing. But I have found that this Zoom and this way of working actually can be even more intimate in a certain way than being in person. Like, and again, I mean, being in person and having all our senses and being together is the ultimate.
Yeah.
But this also works in a different way,
It
right?
does, it does. I've become extremely comfortable with it, and I couldn't agree with you more. There is something, I don't know what it is. There's just something I feel like I could really express myself with somebody else on a video call now. Uh, it's just like picking up a pen or picking up the phone. It's just it's become very natural for me.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's such a big difference, right? We used to sit in meetings all day in person, go from one to the next to the next. Now we sit here.
yeah,
Now we sit. That's why I moved out of the city to the country, because I'm like, I'm spending so much time at home and inside. I
right.
might as well be able to like go outside a little more easily than
Definitely.
I was.
Definitely. Definitely. So, Jill, I just wanted to go back to the degree campaign for a moment because I think it's fascinating the kinds of people and the obstacles they were faced with, um, and the potential for failure. If how did they themselves come to terms with what they were facing, and how did they get beyond it? I mean, these are people who were dealing with obstacles every single day of their lives. And then they decide to, I mean, they have this inner strength to decide to even approach doing a marathon. That's huge.
Yeah, I think I mean each one was very different, and but I think runners, interestingly, the discipline of running, really is a good model for getting through. Because and I'm a terrible runner.
Me too.
I'm
I
like,
gave up on that a long time ago.
yeah, me too. Like that's not going to work for me. But if your body can, to some degree, handle running, it becomes all about your mindset and discipline, and I think that's an interesting concept, that and support, having
Right.
the fact that so Degree comes in and says, we're going to help you, we're going to get you trainers, we're going to help you do this, and you have to be in it, give us I mean, the person ultimately is the one that does all the work, but I think also these people, when we're looking for them, volunteered, so there's a certain to be part of this, so there's a certain tenacity, but it just goes to show how our mindset, like, determines so much in our lives.
So how do you do that? Like, what's your process for reframing failure when something doesn't go right? Instead of having
Mm.
that instant reaction, where the emotions kind of take over. And sometimes we can't prevent that from happening, but how do we kind of rein things in and kind of approach failure in a new way? How do you reframe it?
I feel like I've been working on this my whole adult
I
life.
know, me too. I have too. I have too. I'm
It's
still
like,
working on it.
and so my answer is where I'm at this point, in this process. And I don't know if I have the answer, but I'm always trying new things. So I think where I'm at now, with when something disappoints me, or I feel like a failure in something, is before I switch out of the feeling, which is, and shift, is let myself be with the feelings and the emotions of what's going on, and why it might be triggering me, or making it worse, than the reality. Like, often the
Yeah.
reality is not as bad as I feel.
I think that is so right. I mean, I had a big disappointment this week with a client that will be moving on. And I happen to really like that client personally a lot. I really enjoyed the relationship. And I was very sad, and of course disappointed when they told me that they had changed their business strategy. And my first inclination was to say, stop feeling everything. And then I said, no, you have to feel it. It's real. It's real. It's a genuine feeling. Feel disappointed and sit with that for a little while. And
Yeah.
then think about what's really, what the reality is. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the end of the world.
And what it
You know?
reminds you of, what
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
past, because it might not even be in this time period. Like, what's yeah, I often have to do, like, listen to some kind of guided meditation to get my body to quiet
Well, that's
down,
a good idea.
because
Yeah.
often I'm my nervous system is activated, and I can't sleep, and I'm edgy, and so I try to settle my nervous system, or do some exercise or movement,
Yeah. Yeah.
or laughing, and then kind of just be with it. And what's interesting is, if you let yourself be with feelings, often they dissipate. I mean, they
They
may
do.
come back again, but they kind of, like, the feeling can calm. And it's sort of like a child having a tantrum. Like, sometimes you have to just let them cry a little, and then they
Yeah,
calm
yeah,
down.
yeah. I have similar techniques. I do find also that that being mindful of the feeling of the emotion in that moment and just noticing it, and saying, it's okay. All right. You
Mhm.
just
It's
feel a
like
little.
being your own best friend or your own mother,
Yeah,
like
that's right. It's okay
like
to feel that way, but and then I sometimes do some writing about it. I guess
mhm,
because I'm a writer, it's natural for me, but I do find that I don't know, maybe it's the kinesthetic part of writing it down. it just sort of takes it out of me, takes the sting out of it. And I'm able to write it down and then really kind of review what I've written and think, okay, what am I going to do next?
Yes, I
And
also
huh?
journal and write. I have volumes that I like. Sometimes I go back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still writing the same stuff. Like it's the same
That's
emotion.
okay. That's
It's
okay.
okay. But then it's there's a moment where there has to be a shift and into what we want, what we believe, like sort of who we are, and saying, okay, this is what I really want, or this is what I have to do, especially with a project. Like for
Yeah.
us, it's often, we're working on something and we're looking for somebody and we can't find them, and it's like we have to look at all the ways that we're trying and figure out what we miss, like how could we do it differently, how could we take a different path. And that actually is where the strategy and the creativity, that kind of is stimulating, and it can be
I was
like,
just going to say that to me is the exciting part, to kind of reinvent, and go, take a step, the next step. I spoke to a woman. I have a client, the Quorum Initiative, which is an executive women's leadership organization, incredible women. And somebody was reminding me of something that the hip hop star Rihanna she actually has it tattooed on her chest, and it is never a failure, always a lesson.
mm,
She actually has it in mirror writing so that she can look every day in the mirror and see it. I think that is so powerful and so brilliant, because how many times a day do you have little disappointments or things, and just to remind yourself that you didn't fail. It's not the end of the
yeah,
world.
it's
You're
like we
actually
need
gonna
we need another word for
we
failure,
do
or
need another
yeah,
word.
that's why I think with degree they're like not done yet, like you're on the path, yeah, it's and this idea of learning, like being in the state, a flow state of learning, um and that, getting through the emotions to get to that lesson, that learning state, that ability to try something different. And yeah, it's really interesting. And it's funny because we're not taught about this in school.
Not at all. Wouldn't that be a good subject to talk about? In addition to how to keep, your household expenses in line, how to use a checkbook and all that. Duh.
I was
Yeah.
just talking to I have like a financial trainer, and basically all this person does is we meet once a month and we go through everything I spent that month through using all the tools,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
see where it is. And I was saying, like, people, like, it took me so long to learn that, one, I needed a little help to do it, and two, that this is like something you have to do every month. You got to look at, what you spend. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's taken me a long time to figure that out, and it's so
Yeah.
empowering.
It's so empowering when you can um, go from a failure, something that maybe didn't go as well as you would have liked, and then kind of take those next steps, is so empowering. It feels so good inside, and it's enlightening. It's always so enlightening to learn something new. That's how it works for me anyway. And once
I
I could
know.
get over that initial hump, I'm
Yeah,
sailing.
yes, it's that hump. And that hump, and like letting us be in that hump. I was just listening to a meditation on 10% happier, about titration, this concept of titration, where you you open yourself up to the feelings of anxiety, but then you open it, you let it kind of in, and then you close it back up and feel safe again. And that's kind of an interesting way to do it, so you don't have to, like, you can, because we have all different reactions when we feel bad
Of
or
course,
fail.
of course,
One
of
is to
course.
run, like, I'm going to deny it. One is so it's sort of like taking it in little bits and letting it kind of go through you, and then, you know I don't know,
I
it's
love that.
interesting
I
concept.
love that. I love that. Anyway, we're at time, but
Oh
it
my
went
god,
by in like a second.
it did.
I'm so glad to see your smiling face today. And
And so glad
keep
to
if
see your Your smiling face, your beautiful
So
smiling face.
anybody who if you want to contact Jill, she is on LinkedIn, and you can look up Genuine, the Real People Company as well. And Jill, I hope we get to talk again soon.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
Okay.
Take
Have a
care.
great
Be
day.
well and have a
Bye-bye.
great day. Bye.